What's up, all you beautiful, happy people on this Sunday morning? I guess happy third quarter. Yeah. I guess I said Sunday morning, but it's actually Sunday noon for us. Not quite afternoon yet. It's what is it? It's a minute afternoon, so maybe that does count. But welcome in, and of course, thank you for joining us. This is our 8th consecutive week of Sunday sessions. Like, wow. We started this as somewhat of a little community experiment just to see if this is something that people would find value in. Oh man, all the way from Scotland. Yay. Yeah, and so just to see if this is something that people would find value from, and if we could make a difference in the secular community. And I think so far the experiment is going very well.
Yes, I think we've been having great conversations. People been tuning in, commenting.
Yes. So, I'm going to pull you over just a little bit more. Yeah. And of course, y'all already kind of know the rules, or not rules, but we'll call them rules. As you're coming in, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, consider joining our community, consider volunteering in the community, and check out the merch. And we're actually starting to build a little more infrastructure into around what we're doing. So many of you know we've added Discord. So yes, we now do pre-session and post-session hangouts for on our Discord channel. And so today we did our first pre-session meet and greet, which was real cool. Dell came and joined us. We had a really good time. He taught me some things about Discord, and so I'm learning how versatile and nimble of a platform it is. And for those of you who are looking to volunteer, for those of you who are looking to volunteer, please make sure you fill out the forms, and we typically drop them in. They're in the description of the video, and we drop them in the chat as we go along. But I just say, just bear with us, because right now it really is just us, and it's a handful. So we're getting to things as we can. Am I missing anything before I move on?
Oh, no, I think that's good. And any of the all links that are needed are right in the description as well.
Absolutely. And of course, if you've signed up for our email list, please make sure you are checking your spam message, because I think that's where they're going for many of you. And then, of course, check out our last week's Sunday session. If you haven't already, last week we talked about when people lived with people. And I think we got into some really good conversation with that. So we even talked about code switching last Sunday. So that was, man, we went there. And also this week we hit 2,000 subscribers. Like, what? Like, we hit 2,000 subscribers this week. The reason why that is just absolutely blowing my mind is because in February we had 52 subscribers. So our community is growing, and I can't thank all of you enough for just showing love, showing support, being active in the comments, sharing these videos, liking these videos, and of course subscribing to the channel. You guys are just, well, you all, I got to stop doing that heteronormative thing, but you all have just been absolutely fascinating. Thank you so much. This is, it's one thing. Thank you. It's one thing to believe that what you have to share is important and valuable. It's another thing to have other people to feel that same way about it. And so this is very surreal for us. And so, honestly, we cannot show our appreciation enough. And by appreciation, this is what anytime I say I appreciate you, that means my intention is to add as much value to your life as I can. That's what appreciation means to me. So I do appreciate all of you. And that's why I do try to spend quite a bit of time learning, exploring, observing to see ways that I could possibly be uniquely gifted to add value. And yes, my son is playing Brawlhalla in the background. But that is there is a thing that we do try to be intentional about, especially as long as we're recording in the house, recording in the home. I don't want our kids to feel like they're restricted from living because we're recording, Yeah. And we're kind of like that at work too, because we work from home as well. All right. So also, man, and this is something I've never done. Out of all the years that I was a pastor, I've never made this type of announcement. So let's go. Happy Pride Month, everybody.
Woo!
And the reason I'm sharing this one is because I saw this on Facebook yesterday. A friend of mine shared this, and I thought this was so poignant. And it says, pride is important because someone tonight still believes they're better off dead than being gay.
Yeah.
And just seeing that absolutely just broke my heart, and because I know that it's a reality for people. And especially we're in this how to human conversation, and talking about the importance of empathy. Pride Month is an excellent time to display some of that empathy, right?
Right.
So happy Pride Month to all of us out there, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, right. That was an ouch, right? That that really hurts to not just even think, but to know that people out there feel that. Wow, that's beautiful. It's yes, for sure, for sure. Man, okay. So upcoming appearances.
You got a few.
This Tuesday, I'll be on Agape Freedom Community with Jarek, who was actually one of the first people I did an interview with. Jarek's a real cool guy. Yay. Exactly. I know that's right. Come on now. That's yes.
That was common.
It was very common.
Yeah.
Oh no. Hate the sin, not the sinner. It's like, what the? Oh my goodness. Not like, it's like somebody's eating chicken and you're like, hate the chicken, not the eater.
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, this makes no sense. But Agape Freedom Community, y'all please check out their channel when you get a chance. But I'll be on with them Tuesday. Right. I'll be on, we've let you know I'll be on Talk Heathen on June 9th, and I would love for you all to show up in the chat. And then I'll be on the Atheist Experience on June 16th, that afternoon. And then that evening, I'll be on Bad Science Sunday, the Father's Day edition on June 16th.
Busy Father's Day.
I have booked my Father's Day, so we're probably going to have to make my Father's Day Saturday. Because that's going to be three things. That's going to be our show, the Sunday sessions. Then
Talk Heathen.
Not Talk Heathen. That's the Atheist Experience.
The Atheist Experience.
That one starts at 3, and yeah, so that's going to be a busy Sunday. Ouch!
Hate the religion,
not the religious. Right? Yes. Upcoming projects. Yes. I think we did announce this last week, but I want to announce it this week, and we'll announce it for a few more weeks. Me and a friend of mine, Kyle Butler, who is also a former pastor, now atheist, agnostic, humanist, just lover of people more than anything else. We are doing the ex-pastor call-in show, and according to the graphic, it's the world's only ex-pastor call-in show. And Wes from Skeptic Haven will be taking lead on producing the show with us, and so we're really excited. We're going to be launching this in July on the first Sunday of every month. And of course, this call-in show won't be necessarily a debate show. This will be for people who want to call in for help. We almost named it the Unholy Helpline,
not the unholy,
or the Heathen Hotline, but just to kind of help people. And I did share the video this week, uploaded it on our channel, that kind of inspired this idea. And if you haven't watched it yet, please go and watch the video.
That was a heavy one.
It was a heavy one, right?
Yeah.
It was a beautiful moment. Because people, it's easy for people to separate from the belief. It's not always easy for them to separate from the habits, separate themselves from the fears, or separate themselves from the thoughts.
Yeah.
And at this moment, throughout the secular community, as far as YouTube is concerned, we just didn't see a lot of shows platforming those type of conversations. And I enjoy the other ones very much so. I enjoy The Line. I enjoy Hang Up, like, very much. But I did want, and maybe that's just the former pastor in me. I wanted to do something, to help people, and I'm not saying those shows don't help, because trust me, they help. They damn sure help me. But no, it's just something that we wanted to do. So we're really excited about that. And for everybody that enjoyed group therapy, the group therapy session we did last month, in April, we are doing another one Tom is coming back with me. Tom is likely going to be a regular on this thing because I just love his feedback so much. Love partnering with him. We're going to have Maya on the show for the first time, and we're bringing Bossy back. He's been with us before. And this conversation, this is our group therapy conversation. We're talking about what it feels like to have to be trapped in the closet. And that means whether you're not being able to be honest about your belief with your families, your friends, at work, in your communities, whatever it is, it's going. What's up, Maya? Speaking of Maya, speaking of the person, trapped in the closet. I thought it was perfect.
Play a little music.
If I can get the trapped in the closet instrumental and probably chop it and screw it so YouTube doesn't kill me, I might throw it in there with some background music. Which I'm not going to praise R. Kelly, but I did think Trapped in the Closet was genius. As far as like it was goofy as hell, but man, it was like a goofy opera. It was a goofy soap opera, yeah. But yeah, so that we're gonna have a great time there.
Yes.
I love it. And let's see here. And then we try to give you this Sunday lineup. I feel like I've been talking a lot, so I'm gonna let you read through the lineup.
Yeah, so we got some good lineups with which it probably just going off or already been off for a couple minutes, but you have Nurch. Not Church on Ichabod with Brady Quinn, Albert Kim, and Jay Witt.
Yep.
Hello, they've been having some good conversations, and they're talking about Romans 7 and 8 today, I believe.
Yeah.
So then you have Bad Science Sunday, every Sunday evening with Maya Atkinson and friends. Go jump in on that. They are a fun group. You're going to get some good laughs with them as well. Also, Black Non-Believers has the cut, and there's every other Saturday, so you kind of got to catch them. They had one this past Saturday
on reparations, which was excellent, shall I say.
Yes. And then you have Skeptic Haven, which some of you already know. They have they have a few shows, so
going throughout the week.
Choose your pick. Yes. And then we have Stacy's Mom Podcast on Mondays. Love them. And sometimes they do a pop-up live everyone.
They do, and they are awesome.
Yes. So check out those. You have so much good content out there that you can flood out the junk and catch the good content.
Yes. All right. So we took 13 minutes doing the introduction. And all right. So I think I can biggie size my screen over here. Let me do this. That just helps my eyes. It helps my eyes having a big screen to look at. And it also helps me keep up with what's going on with Brawlhalla behind me. So it's perfect. Multitasking, neurodivergent and all. But yeah, so let's jump into today's conversation. We've been in this series of conversations on how to human. And again, as I kind of reiterate every week, I love this. Ooh, yes. I try to reiterate every week, this is in no way, and I think this is probably the biggest difference between what we do and church, right? This is in no way us telling you how to human. That's not what this conversation is about, and I hope no one gets that impression. As a matter of fact, we have deliberately taken an approach where we've just kind of taken an outline of different things, kind of walking through history, starting with how we behaved when we first met each other and how those relationships have evolved. Last week, when people lived with people, so how family and community relationships have also defined and played roles in who we are. This is us exploring this together. And so we are just as eager to hear from you as we are to share it. And I think that's one of the things that for me, methodologically has really made me excited about doing things on site again. So, in the church space, especially the urban churches I was a part of, the speakers on stage, the speaker speaks, and Sunday Assembly and Oasis, they typically kind of have, you have the talk moment. And then I'm thinking like, wow, with technology, we really do have the ability, such as we're doing right now with YouTube, we have the ability to innovate the way we even do our lecture moments or our talk moments in the live space and which allows us to better capitalize on shorter attention spans. Because you got your screens in your churches anyway.
Right.
Just connect them to YouTube stream and let those people connect real time.
Right.
But I think they don't do that in churches because they're probably afraid somebody's going to call BS on the screen publicly.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But I've enjoyed it so much because I'm like, oh snap, as opposed to years of just standing, behind a lectern and delivering a message that feels like a dialogue because of the way that I've learned how to communicate. Technology has allowed us to share information and actually dialogue in real time, and I do love that. And so again, our approach is not to tell anybody how to human. Our approach is to learn from each other and to kind of create a framework of having this conversation. And so today's session, a lot of us it was, for sure. Oh man, and it's just like the ridiculousness of that, hate the sin, hate the sinner, love the sinner, hate the sin. And it's the problem is that people are not that good at dividing those things.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because like we don't consider we consider a person who drinks a lot a drunk. So we connect people behavior with people identity.
That's true. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And you treat them as such.
You treat them as such. Mm-hmm. So if I believe you're sinning, I believe you're a sinner. Mm-hmm. And it's like, but when it's just much easier to say, who the hell am I to have an opinion about you anyway, if what you're doing is not, hating me? I love it. That is awesome. And so today, moving right along, and today we're talking about when people worked with people, right? And what I would like for us to do is to explore this conversation from the aspect of what have been some of our motivations for working together. And again, y'all know I kind of like to take a sociological perspective on these things. I like for us to think back historically, coming all the way up. And so I started in my mind, when did people first start working together and what was that motivation, right? And the thing that I came up with was survival. The first motivation that I think, and I could be wrong, that humans started working together was survival, which I think is an understated lesson. Especially when you explore broken communities like the ones that I come from. You find people who are caught up in survival, but have not learned how to work together yet.
Yeah.
And so survival, that survival mechanism or that survival reaction is normally caused by scarcity. And typically when we're looking at the earliest days of our evolutionary journey into civilization, for lack of better words, that survival would have been built around, or that scarcity would have been built around food, water, shelter, and space. Herd packing it, bond together to make it another day. Literally, it's like, okay, if we all have to go get our own food, right? If we all have to go get our own food, more of us are going to starve. And if more of us starve, there's less of us to carry the food. You get it? If more of us starve, there's less of us to build the tents, or to build wherever we're living. So it becomes like, oh man, this is an old gospel song. I need you to survive. You remember that song? Yeah. That's that first level of working together is realizing. And I think, like, honestly, this could be the whole conversation of is just kind of realizing that, holy snap, I kind of need you. Yeah. Like in two ways. I need you to survive, which means I need you to make it. But then I also need you for me to make it. That was one of like the earliest.
See, you preaching.
This is preaching, right? Ain't it a word? Look it up. Is that like I literally need you. So like there are things, beautiful ideas we come up with all the time, right? And like one of those ideas is that we should all just grow gardens in our yards, and we should all feed ourselves. And I am like, I've tried this. I suck at growing things. I am growing some marigolds right now, but I do suck at growing things. I'm working on it though. I am. But it's a beautiful idea, right? We should all grow our food. We should all grow our own food in our own yards, and everybody just eats that way. I kind of sometimes feel like that's overlooking the fact that hey, that's actually where we used to live. There's a reason why we moved from that, and that is because, and this kind of brings us back to the point. And wow, right? Oh, that's crazy. Dang, where was I going? I'm coming back.
We kind of
we shifted from that for diversity. Because if now you do that, then everybody literally has to do that to survive.
Like every single moment, and so your focus is only
on that. Yeah. And so like even if I just want to do the water and not the food, I need people who are going to handle the food.
And that's why I think it's not a complete thought or conversation to come to active results or outcomes. Because if we're all people, when they approach the conversation, at least from my experience, it's always, okay, let's grow our food, and that solves all the problems.
Yeah, and it's like, nah, it's not going to solve all the problems.
It's just more to that.
It's like there's a little bit more to it than that. Exactly. And that's local and watch this, and then that's us showing those local growers, watch this, that we need you to survive. And then the message you're sending them is that no, we care about your survival. Absolutely. That's that empathy. Like, no, we need to eat, and so we need you to survive to eat because we don't want to grow food.
And that's exchange.
That is exactly exchange. Absolutely. These are some of the earliest motivations for people working together. Basic needs drive people to collaborate for mutual survival, or I don't want to say should, but when there's been healthy outcomes, sometimes that happens. Scarcity of resources like food, water, shelter, and space has often historically forced communities to come together, pool resources, and develop systems to ensure everyone's survival. So, of course, starting with the early days, early human societies forming hunter-gatherer groups to efficiently gather food and water. You're not doing that to make sure one person can be okay. You're doing that to make sure that the group can be okay. And I don't want to say that these were our earliest forms of empathy, because I'm sure there were earlier forms than that. But these are definitely, in my view, probably some precursors to social empathy or group empathy. Realizing that maybe I should not care as much that your tribal statue is different from my tribal statue if you can help us get some food.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so, and I that's like primitive empathy right there. It's where the empathy is still selfish, right? Where the empathy is like I should be nice to you because you can help me get food, or I should be nice to you because you're good at hunting. I should be nice to you because we need an extra hand at this thing. And it's primitive empathy, but it worked for that time. But then you do have modern examples of these things, of people still being brought together by those survival needs, of course, like refugees and things of that nature, especially when you look at America's immigrant economy over the years, right? Historically, like a lot of immigrants, even outside of my folk, a lot of immigrants have come in this country and have had to, because of the sheer lack of hate arrangement. Absolutely. Because of the sheer lack of hate, or lack of empathy, or I said lack of hate, but a lack of empathy. If you don't have to wear all the hats, it's a lot easier getting things done. Absolutely. See, I love this. See, this one went over a lot easier than I thought.
Yeah.
Well, in empathy. Empathy plays a crucial role in understanding and addressing the needs of others, which is essential in times of scarcity, is really understanding what does everybody need, right?
Yeah, and so I guess that's we see a move from just individualism, like I'm here, so I guess I got to figure out how to be here, into community, and how do we commune together. Absolutely.
We begin to, and again, kind of like what I don't know, was it when people met people? Yeah, it was when people met people, which I didn't think that would take that turn. But we get into this aspect of how business or the idea of business, trade, and commerce becomes a crucial part in the diversification of human identity. And so fill a need, yes. So when you have more people handling tasks, it allows more identities to emerge. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And this is profound. Try to discourage their member to leave by telling myth about monsters in the forest outside the village. Yes, that is very much true. Man. And then just to kind of deal with the depths of that fear of people leaving the village was a fear of the village not being able to be sustained.
Oh, and you just went somewhere.
Okay,
that's what you're dealing with in religion. Your parents, a fear of you leave, even from a standpoint of us growing up in where we grew up. That takes place in everywhere you see it, whether it's from the Black experience, the religious experience, or identity experience.
Yes.
So yeah.
Which means that, and I know this isn't necessarily sounds like the movie The Village. That was I forgot about The Village. Which that means is sometimes the easiest things are sometimes the best approach for helping people break from some of those type of superstitions is showing them the irrelevancy of that to play a role in sustaining. That you no longer, or we no longer need this particular thing to sustain our community.
And remember, you had you mentioned before that a lot of times what we see as hate in that sense is really fear.
For sure,
and that's what you see in.
I've often said that I don't exactly know what hate is. I've never actually seen hate. What I've seen is fear. Hate seems to be the mask that fear wears. And it's a corrosive type of fear for sure. Because fear typically mobilizes or immobilizes rather. It makes people not move, not do, but hate is a type of fear that has a fight reaction to it.
Yeah.
It's a nasty thing. Oh yeah, this is good. This is good stuff. So without empathy, resource allocation might become selfish, leading to conflict rather than cooperation. And of course, we can see that happening all over the world. We can see that in this country. A lot of times we like to talk about that with the people who may not be paying their fair share in taxes. Where I like to often attack this at, for me, mainly because this is a part of my personal mission, purpose, and passion, is in, impoverished communities, which I've spent, like literally 2 decades working in the community to get things done. And it's often a lack of empathy because hardships and generational hardships have a way of perverting what you see as love and empathy. So and I'll just speak from my family dynamic. Generational hardships concretized love as unflinching loyalty with no need for compassion or consideration. Love had no need, and that, unfortunately, after generations of that, you view loyalty as just speaking up for you. And you view love as just that. I said something. Love has no actions in it other than just, in many cases, for mine, praise and dysfunction. And because you praise dysfunction so much, it makes it easier to call out makes it harder rather to call out dysfunction, recognize dysfunction. And then unfortunately, almost everybody around you becomes your frenemy. Because every community group that I've ever tried to work with in my communities, everybody there felt like somebody else there was against them.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that dynamic?
All in the head, not even from communication or hearing anything. Is just all up here.
It's almost like a pre-tribalistic behavior,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Because even the families are like that. Even when you get the families together, even though we're saying all of these flowery words, as soon as all of that's over, there's either a fight or somebody's talking about somebody. Oh, did you look at her? Saw her coming in here just thinking she can.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what is going on?
Yeah. If from my experience, it can be for something as small as one of the family members decided to stay in the family home, our great grandmother's home, and then others decide to leave, but get mad at the person that decided to stay in the home.
So they all get caught up in this survival game where they're not even doing what it takes to survive anymore, nor do they even know what it takes to survive, because what happens, and I can't speak for everybody's community, so I won't. And so when I say my community, I'm not speaking for the whole Black community. I'm speaking for the community that I was a part of. And for my community, what you end up seeing is you had people who all of their decisions, come on now. Right. Yes. Now let me tell you what Sandra said. Yeah, but I've seen that majority of our relationships and motives were just emotional.
Yeah.
There was no critical engagement. And so I literally pull people together to tackle community problems, and those things would fall apart, because, well, somebody's talking about me, or I don't think this person should be leading that. And there's never any quantifiable reason. It's just, I don't like this person's personality. And unfortunately, because when you combine superstition with poverty, what you're typically doing is inculcating a lack of education. And when you do that for the human species, you're literally restricting people to a place of only being able to be led by their emotions, their intuitions, and their instinct. And that's and as you can see, I can take you to I'll take you to my community. I don't mind showing you. As you can see, it makes a very dangerous concoction. And so you have a whole bunch of people living together, all impacted by the same social woes, but do not see in each other enough value to be able to say, I need you to survive.
And so now you kind of see how in some ways now that scarcity leads to more so individualism.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if the people scarcity, if the people cannot see the value in each other, almost every community organization that I've helped or that I've tried to help, the ones that didn't make it, they didn't make it because their whole mentality was, let's get grants. And so they spent more time trying to get grants than actually trying to investigate the community problems. Because here's the thing, like, I'm never going to say you don't need money. I'm never going to be that person. But I am saying, I will always say, you don't need money to get started. You don't need money to help people. You don't need money to create community. All you need to do is to see how valuable people are. And if you honestly believe that you need the money before you need the people, then it already shows you that you value money over people.
Instead of pulling everybody together, what do you have? What do you have? And you pull those people.
Yeah, what can you do?
Yeah.
Because that's the going because we're still in the survival aspect. That's what you had to do. Hey, what do you do? Yeah. Can you hunt? Can you run fast? Can you plant? Can you sow? I was leaving names out because I'm talking about it from concern. Right. To hold. Yes. I love it. I love it. So here's some questions for reflection on this one. Am I looking at it? Yeah. How have you seen scarcity drive people to work together in your community or life? And think over the years, maybe there was a time when your family came together over a scarce situation, or maybe you were living in a community. Maybe you're living in an apartment complex, trailer park, projects, or a nice suburb that, favorite tree was going to get chopped down or something and the community banded together. I don't know. But I want you to think about some of those things. Maybe it was something you did in school, like think back to grade school, middle school, elementary school. I find that people often have fascinating stories about their years in middle school and elementary school, middle school particularly, about community. You'd be surprised how much kids do that. You know who needs I love it. I love it. That is so true. That is so true in so many ways.
I know for me in this question here, I've seen it just with a sort of quickness in the blackout in New York when people were out of water. It was during the summer, so people was didn't have water. Older people, kids, parents alike had to walk across the bridge to get home back to Brooklyn, and you had literally people out there passing out water, helping people get home. Everybody staying outside to make sure people are safe. So that's one quick moment.
I love it. I love it. And then how have you seen the lack of empathy or not valuing the humanity of others keep communities from working together during times of scarcity? And I think we've all seen some of that. I know, again, this is a passionate pet peeve of mine because I've spent so many years in community work watching people work against their own best interest over and over again. By really, there's this adage that we use in my community all the time about the crab in the bucket mentality. And I hate this adage. I hate it so much. Some rich people and they still get, yep. And that's the thing, because the one thing that I do like to point out to people there is most of what we feel about, I'm not going to say we, most people that I've seen comment on billionaires and stuff are people who have not done the work to understand economics. And these are people, and the reason I point this out is because America has built itself off of propaganda. And so now there is more propaganda than proper research. And so now anything that's a popular opinion becomes a hot take. And if enough people say something, it becomes, this is the reason why.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. Yeah. Oh my goodness. What you say. This becomes the reason. That's your villain. I am careful and absolutely suspicious of anybody who's pointing to a villain for me.
Yeah.
Because I know my life. I know the decisions I made. I know the decisions my parents made. I know the decisions my grandparents made. I've traced my family history a long way back. And what I can tell you for sure is that there were a long line of people who did not make responsible decisions. There were a long line of people who had opportunity. My family had over 4,000 acres of land. That's just one line, And so I've watched how my family has not taken life seriously, has literally not cared about what happens to the next generation, where their mindset, and literally this is an issue in my community, where we send wealth backwards, not forwards.
Yeah.
So you raise kids to take care of you instead of having kids to give them a better opportunity.
And that goes that how the human and showing empathy is taking on responsibility.
Yeah. Yes. That is hilarious. Everyone the hero. That's it.
Because you get told who your heroes are too, and then you start looking into it. And
why is this my hero? No, I don't think this is my hero.
Yeah.
And so, and I just say that to say, when I look at my life, there's nobody else to blame. When I look at my family, there's nobody else to blame. And that's literally all sides of my family. When I look at my family today, even like you cannot be Black in this country and know the condition of our people and still waste your time partying and all this all the time.
All the time, yeah.
Like, and so I'm not gonna look at that and be like, oh no, they're trying their best. Not here. They're not. I grew up with these people. I know what they're capable of. If I'm believing that they're trying their best, I have to dehumanize them to believe that. And that's often the message that is given to my community. People look at us running amok of things and don't believe that we have the capacity to be human and say, oh, that's just the best they can do. Fuck that. No, we are capable. But there is this sick doctrine that we didn't necessarily receive gracefully. And so there's a lot of nuance to it, for sure. Slavery did a hell of a thing on Black people in this country, but colonialism did a hell of a thing on Black people everywhere. Come on, man. Grab them to running them up. Wow. Oh, that's it. Oh my goodness. Raping communities. But we open ourselves up for it. We refuse to believe that humans are capable. And so instead of trying to teach humans how to be better, we try to tell other people don't take advantage of them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'm like, I think we can do both. We're not gonna help if we see people literally not trying their best and try to help them think and try to make them think that, oh no, you're doing the best you can. I have so many friends that was the message that they heard from their parents. You know what I'm saying? And some of them are just now realizing that, oh, I actually do have a brain. I actually can think. I think I might not have been trying. Wow. But nobody in their lives, I said this years ago, the most dangerous thing in the world you can do when you have a child in this world is give that child a life without push. That's one of the most dangerous things you can do. And I say that not to be any type of holier than thou person. I say that because I've watched my friends' lives fall apart and they literally believe that there's nothing they can do about it. They say things like, oh man, everybody's not made for college. Nobody's made for college. College is made for everybody. Think about what you have to believe about yourself. Yeah. And think about where those beliefs come from. No billionaire gave them that belief. That belief came from their parents. That belief came from their friends. That belief comes from a community that honestly, this belief, okay, I'll take it a little further. This belief comes from a community who allowed themselves to be integrated into an education system where teachers didn't even believe their children were human. And so if you let people teach your children who don't even believe your children are human, they're always going to point them to the bottom of the ladder. And now I have a community that has reaped that mindset.
And stuck there.
Man, it's insane. It's insane. Okay, I'm sorry. That was enough of my little. Oh, there is a lot of nuance, Blossom. Trust me. Ooh, education is power.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Right. Yes.
And to piggyback on that, a lot of times, when you go to church, that is considered your true education.
Oh yeah.
Over the education you're getting.
Oh, for sure.
In school, and so that plays a whole.
That should have been a red flag. Yeah. Because honestly, and I won't say every church does this, but I do know for a fact a lot of churches in the Black community spend a lot of time trying to uneducate people from what they were learning in school. You know, hey, well, don't believe everything they put in the book, but you literally just believe everything in this one book. But the disingenuousness of it is that you don't believe everything that's in that one book because, as you know, if you've seen my recent short, you haven't even read everything that's in this one book, and you will find that I haven't found many people that live by it. One of the things that people ask me, like, Darante, why did you stop being a Christian? Because I never met another Christian the whole time I was a Christian. Never met one. I might be meeting some now. Okay, so next little segue is we know that scarcity sometimes brings people together and gets people to work together. So now we have to work different tasks to make sure that we have food, shelter, water, and space. Okay. Yeah, this is one of the guys who thinks he knows things that he doesn't actually know. So we'll just ignore him. Right? For sure. So safety is another thing that brings people to work together, right? So the need for safety leads to the formation of family units, tribes, larger communities. These groups work together to protect their members and manage their shared resources. Early human tribes protecting each other from predators and other threats. Modern neighborhood watch programs, which we've seen sometimes go awry. But just community resources, resource sharing initiatives, period, are those types of ideas. Empathy typically strengthens community bonds, making it easier to offer and receive support, which just kind of makes me think, or it makes me want to pose the question rather. When we see people not working together, is it always just an empathy issue? Because that's what I'm wondering now. Yeah. Anytime we see people who could benefit from working together, let's just say people who need to be working together. Like, so again, speaking from my communities, my friends, they need to be working together, you know? But do we think that is empathy the primary reason that people don't work together, or is there some other underlying causes why people don't work together towards their own best interest?
Now, for me, from my experience, it's more so a lack of responsibility or a lack of wanting to do.
A lack of
not everybody, like, it's out of their own mouths. I heard people don't want to take responsibility for things, especially when you're talking about a community or a regional or global aspect. Not everybody even thinks that way.
Yeah. So you're saying that empathy is likely one problem, but you're thinking lethargy is another one.
It's another,
is another one. Yeah. Now, and that's and I'd definitely be interested to hear what some of you have to say on that. Like, is it empathy? Is it lethargy? Which means, are some people just lazy?
Yeah. This is a big issue.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. It's are people just not empathetic, or are people lethargic? Are people lazy? Are people just say, I don't want to do this? And I got to be honest, I've definitely seen a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I've definitely seen a little bit of both. Which less, that makes me wonder. To each their own. Absolutely. That does make me wonder. Okay, so we said empathy, lethargy. What about apathy? What's going on, South One? Nice to see you in here. There's a lot, right? Accountability. Because, in the 5 dysfunctions of a team, fear of accountability or lack of accountability and fear of conflict are often involved.
And that's what I've seen at work too. Sometimes people don't want to work together or take on more responsibility because they're going to be held accountable.
That is true. Yeah. That is true.
They don't want to be, or something go wrong, then it's going to be my fault. And I had to tell my team, I don't mind taking accountability. Things don't move forward if we don't try, if we don't make mistakes. Because when you make mistakes, if you love to learn and grow, you can correct the error.
Well, see, I think that comes from sin culture and trouble culture, right? Mm-hmm. So that's a great opportunity for us to find to be more empathetic to people who are on the sidelines. Yeah. To start literally trying to figure out, like, hey, what is it that's keeping you from working with other people towards your best interest to get the things that you need for your life, and to be able to ask that a completely different mindset. Yes. And to be able to ask that from a place of concern.
And that was that was a struggle for me ever since I was a kid. The trouble issue.
The trouble, yes.
Because you get so ingrained in every little thing. And it's only, I find it's favoritism. It's like only certain people get this, gets treated this way. But it's like that kind of halts you and still you. Okay, I don't want to make any steps if everything I do is going to,
I don't want to do anything if something I'm doing is going to be wrong. But I'll call this out. I consider that superstitious thinking. Yeah. You think you're perfect.
Yeah.
If you're really gonna be like, oh no, uh I'm gonna do something wrong. I'm like, well, duh. Well, duh. Well, duh.
Especially if it's your first time.
Perfection is superstition.
Yeah.
Perfection is a mythology. You have no evidence of perfect anywhere. And so you really shouldn't expect it from yourself. We've never had a perfect president. We've never had a perfect Congress. There's never been a perfect empire. There's never been a perfect leader. Like, yeah, right? Like, it's like, spoiler alert, you're gonna mess up. And sometimes you're gonna mess up so bad that it's gonna be a fuck up. And it's gonna be a royal fuck up. But you know what? You're not the only one.
Yeah.
Like, that's the long line, all right? Almost anybody who's ever done anything, like, no, let's take it back. Anybody, period. Just period. Anybody has messed up. And so, but going back to this trouble culture and this fear culture, and this sin culture, many of us have been so traumatized by childhood, by church, and even work relationships, where we have become averse to saying, I'll step up and try that. I'll leave that, because the thing, you're like, oh, but what if I fuck up? I'm like, who do you know that's done it that hasn't fucked up? Name one. Because like, no, like I think that's probably one of the most, I don't want to say anti-human, but it's one of the most anti-human things you can do is not give yourself the room to be human enough not to be perfect.
Give yourself the push.
You absolutely give yourself the push. To realize, like, no, like, honestly, even when I'm trying to get other people involved in leadership stuff, it is just a pull. Fight the power is a slow process. Yes, for sure. But often trying to get people involved, it's a very hard process, even beyond the empathy, apathy, and lethargy aspect, simply because they're afraid, like, I may not get this right. I'm going to disappoint people. You come on, and you will show me someone who's done nothing. As a matter of fact, every person I know who is genuinely successful has gotten there through a laundry list of mistakes.
A lot of inventions.
Absolutely. I don't know one invention that was invented right the first time. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, up, got it, bam. Like, no, and I think what we rob ourselves of is the trial and error that is the lesson. You know? Yeah. Just taking it back in the day, way back. I used to play Super Mario Brothers. You know what I'm saying? When you're playing that game for the first time, you don't know that if the duck touches you, it kills you.
Yeah.
But the good news is the game isn't over.
You got another life.
You know, you just get to do it again. And I don't think we actually learned those lessons from video games the way that we should have. And life is iterative. You're going to try things and you're going to fail. And you're going to fail because there's literally nothing defined as success. Like, there's, I often remind people in the world that, like, there really isn't a shouldn't. They're just possibilities. Like, there's, I used to treat the world as I thought it should be. And boy, did that do me like a lot of damage. I started paying attention to how the world was and then started exploring the possibilities. I feel like I went on a rabbit trail there. Did I? Whew.
It's all connected.
It's all connected. I hope so. I hope it's connected.
Did we read that one? Okay.
Yep, I love that one as well. But yeah, so it's and maybe that's just really important. I think it is that, any of you out there who are like, maybe I can't make a difference because I'm going to mess up. Some don't even pick up the remote, for sure. We need to stop shitting on ourselves. We do. I love that. I need that t-shirt now. It's like life is a whole bunch of possibilities and nothing is permanent. I often remind people I'm not married to anything but my wife. And so I may like sign up to do something and then like 6 months in be like, nah, this isn't a good fit for me. I have the right to do that. And I think most people feel like, even though they feel like they know I have the right to do that, it's a scary thing for them. And so I do think that's one of the things that does keep people from working together. It's just that fear of disappointing somebody by either not doing the job right or not liking the job. Right. And, you know, at some point, you know, when people have come to me, and if Saffron is still in the chat, he'll testify to this. People have come to me and be like, hey, I hope I'm not disappointing you here. And my response is typically, we didn't have an appointment.
Yeah.
So if we didn't have an appointment, I don't know how you missed an appointment. Yeah. Because I often tell people that disappointment is the child of false expectations. And I don't set my expectations over anybody else's lives. My expectations are for me. Yeah. So for that reason, disappointment is not something I even have to deal with. You know, absolutely, like, no, don't ever worry about being disappointed, about me being disappointed with you, because I don't live in your life. I don't walk in your shoes. I don't think your thoughts. I don't feel your pressure. I don't, you know, that was the biggest, that, like, the night I deconverted, the 2014, it was realizing, like, man, me believing in this idea of sin, for me, it was believing that I had a right to tell other people what was right or wrong about their experiences in life. And I just realized that I had no evidence to lead me there. Watch this. Not only evidence, no interest. No, yeah. Like, I am literally not interested in who you sleeping with.
Remember you used to say on some things you weren't going to go back and study that. I'm not
going to study this. I don't care. Yeah. Sleep with who you love, who you want to love. Sleep with who you want to sleep with. Happy Pride Month, right? But it got to that place of realizing nobody else is disappointing me by living their life. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And, oh my goodness. But that's that trouble culture, that sin culture. You remember when I worked for Enterprise and something was happening and the other managers were like, oh, if this don't happen, we're going to get in trouble. Mm-hmm. And yeah. I had my little bag packed and I was walking out the door. I said, y'all going to get in trouble. I'm a grown ass man. The most they can do to me is fire me. And then I still won't be in trouble. I'll just be unemployed. I don't know where y'all get this trouble from. Trouble. Yeah. No, I ain't scared
but
of you.
That's how a lot of people view work.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
We have to coach so many people out of that, because we work for the same company, but we have to coach so many people out of this idea that, hey, nobody here is your parent. Yeah. Okay. And that's every place I work at, I always push horizontal relationships, lateral relationships. We are partners here. Every place I work at, I almost give this speech. I do not work for you. I work with you. Anybody who worked under me, you do not work for me. You work with me. We are all partners in this together. We are all partners in this together. Oh, I love that. That just gets us to some great places. Gets us to some great places. Well, thank you, blessed be he. I'm glad you're behaving now. We brought you out of timeout. It's an emergent property of expectation, for sure. And that's just not something. It's literally a part of my mental wreck before, like just being a mental wreck, was because I had these high expectations of other people. And many times they were unrealistic expectations. And I'll take it a step further, sometimes unfair expectations. Like, you don't owe me this. And that was one of those things I realized about superstitious thinking, is that superstitious thinking is not just religious thinking. Superstitious thinking can be what your parents told you about, like, here's one, like please and thank you or magical words. No, they're not. They're just regular words. Yeah, you know.
Literally have to go right back around, walk again.
Absolutely. Like, religion didn't give you that. That's mom and daddy, you know. But no, like but when you think things like, you know, please and thank you or magical words, I've seen adults like literally be heartbroken because they said please and somebody still said no. You know, like, but I said please and they said no. That's how that goes. That's right. Yes. I love that.
But you know, this part, jumping back to safety and empathy that strengthens community, that made me think of HOA community.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. Oh, you see, that's another motivator for people to come together and work together. HOAs. Yes. HOAs will do it. But you're absolutely right. Empathy can strengthen community bonds, and a lack of empathy can lead to isolation and weaken the community's ability to provide safety. You know,
They have invite.
yeah, right? Come on now, yeah. And again, that goes to just the nuance of social constructs, right? Because you grow up thinking that something is just one way, and then you go into another world, which the show Shogun does a really good job of highlighting some of this. You go into another world, and almost everything you thought was right is something totally different, which just speaks to the diversity and the plasticity of the human experience.
Right. Even thumbs up is not the same thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Life ain't right. Life. Oh my. Okay. See, I wasn't even going to go there, Sharon. I was not going to go there, but you said it. So everybody else, if you don't like what I'm about to say, blame Sharon for it. But that was one of the superstitions that I had to break for me. That I had no evidence of a fair world. I had no evidence that this world was fair. And I had been living my life and the thing was, and I'm not trying to be necessarily negative here. It was just that who would be making it fair? Who would we trust to make it fair? You know? Oh, yes. Yes. But it's like, yeah, who would we trust to be responsible for making it fair? And so then it became like, oh yeah, I have to just like critically engage. I actually have to engage the world. And like, I realized that for like 20 years of my life, I was actually trying not to engage the world. I was trying to let my belief of no, God has me. That was my belief. And please understand, I do try to stress, I realize every person who identifies as a believer didn't think of it that way. But I definitely, do you think if kids were brought up in a Christian home, the world would be a better place? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Kids who shot up schools were brought up in Christian homes. Kids who rape were brought up in Christian homes. The majority of people who are in prison were brought up in Christian homes. The majority of the people who impacted slavery were brought up in Christian homes. So no, I don't think that at all. At all. No, yikes. The only way to think that is to be purposefully not looking at the world around you. Yeah. That is the only way to think that. And again, and I'm not saying all believers are in that boat, for sure. Like I've known some precious people, and those precious people have raised some rapists. I have seen it with my own eyes. Yep. What you say. Okay, I'm sorry. Y'all know I get now. Those things are very personal for me, like because one of the main reasons I deconverted, man, is looking at what the specific version of the belief has done to my community. And that is a very different dichotomy, right? Because man, my community will fight each other, but will not fight for themselves.
And a lot of times, just even from my experience being raised in a Christian home,
wow.
You tend to grow up with a trust issue.
Either
trust
way. Nobody but God,
Yeah.
And it's like, well, dang, this is really hard.
You don't know the lines of lies, like what is a lie, what's not a lie, because a lot of times you're being lied to as a child, and then you grow up to find out it was a lie, but you're being told not to lie or even use the word. And so,
I honestly felt like my whole childhood experience was navigating lies. And I felt like that's why both of my parents thought that I lied a lot, because they were always lying. Yeah. And the thing was, like, I didn't lie because one of the things that I don't know why, maybe this makes me different. I don't know. Maybe I'm a sociopath or something. I don't know. But fear of others was just never there for me. Like I used to let my mom whoop me, not because I was afraid of her, but because I respected her at a time. At the moment I decided to no longer respect her, I was just like, yeah, we're not doing this anymore. Christianity, that's the religion. That's the one. Like for you to ask those questions, blessed be he, I'm just going to assume that you're not doing so in good faith. Either that, or I'm going to assume that you have a less capacity to actually look at the world around you. And I don't want to assume that. So I'd rather assume that you're just being disingenuous. And And if you're not being disingenuous, then I really can't. Well, if you are being disingenuous, I can't engage the conversation with you anyway. And if you really don't have the capacity to look around and see how damaging Christianity has been, especially while talking to a Black man whose whole history has been very raped by this religion, I can't engage with you at all. And then after that, I don't want to have to do that, but I'll boot you from the chat for good. You know, I want to believe that you're here in good faith, man. I do. But yeah, let's not do that. Yeah. Because I can be a condescending jackass. And that's why I'd much rather boot you from the chat than start condescending. You know, I don't want to do that. There are great parents that happen to be Christian. That's right. They're not great parents because they're Christian. That is absolutely right. Absolutely right. In what ways have you seen empathy enhance safety within a community? How might a lack of empathy, and I'll use that to highlight that, because look, we're having a conversation about empathy. Yeah. But I want to show you the apathy of Christianity. The apathy of Christianity is even when you're having a conversation about humans just recognizing other humans' ability to be human. You know, Christians come in, well, but don't you think the Christian label is the best? That is so rude. Yeah. That is, you're literally discounting everybody else in the room. Yeah. You know, notice that not one point in this conversation or in any of these conversations have I said atheism is the best way. Because that's not the point of these conversations. Yeah. It is not. It's not the point of these conversations to say, hey, the people who believe this are stupid, or the people who believe this are irrational, or the people who believe this are illogical. The purpose of these conversations is for us to focus on the humanity of each other and to figure out how we can work together to love each other, promote each other, and make sure that we're building people-centric communities. Now, to quote Malcolm X, whatever we believe, whatever you believe, let that be what you believe at home. Yeah. But when we come here, let that be in the closet, and let us have the conversations that we're having, because these are your learning opportunities, not from me, but from the other people in the chat. That's it. Genuine conversation.
And you know, that's what these conversations push or give space for, is for us to think. Yes. And to critically think beyond what we're used to thinking, beyond our knowledge, and gather that together.
And to move the conversation from this place of what you believe is wrong and what I believe is right. That conversation overall is not helpful, nor is it healthy. You know, it just isn't. The conversations that I think we need to be having, you know, as far as when we're having community dialogue, are how can we love each other better? How can we help each other more? And I say that from a very different perspective. I say that selfishly. My kids and my grandkids and my great-grandkids and my great-great-grandkids are going to have to live in the world with the children you raise and the children they raise and the children they raise. I'd much rather for us all to be working together so we all know each other, you know? Yeah. And learning just how important human empathy is. And I think that that's one thing that I've seen for sure amongst, you know, some believers, the believers in my family. And I do try to make that dichotomy. I hope you all appreciate that. I try not to generalize all Christians. But the one thing I can say for the believers in my family is that empathy is something that was far from them. It's something that's, you know, that they can't really do. I try. It's something, and I don't necessarily blame them for it. I know, I understand their delusion, you know, because I share that same delusion. I don't consider everybody who believes to be, I love that. I don't consider everybody to believe to be delusional. I just know my family is. Yeah. Exactly. It really does. It really does. And I think that's why we use the word the bridge for what we do, is because that's the point, is to be the bridge. I am the only atheist in my blood family, for sure. My grandfather was also an atheist, but he was also a murderer. Yeah. Yeah, that was a whole different, whole nother other situation there. He was also fascinated with the Bible, played chess, and could play the piano too. So he and I have a lot in common.
Very intelligent guy.
Very. He was. I never met him, by the way. He died long. Well, he was alive when I was alive, but I didn't meet him. First time I met him was in a casket. Yeah. You know, family life, man. Family life. I make no secrets that I come from a very dysfunctional situation.
But what I've seen just from my experience, a lot of people live as if they're agnostic or atheist, but they talk as if.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Remember, that's why I said earlier, like, I haven't met any real Christians. Like, I've met them online, minus the murder part, right? Yep. Well, I mean, there's still some life to live. You know, there's still some life to live. But yeah, it's been a very interesting one. Very interesting. This is good, man. I love this. I love this. And yeah, labels are useful, but they are also used to ostracize. And they, baby girl, you remember this. I did a I don't want to call it an experiment, but I had a moment with my children when they were, I don't know, Destin may have been 11 at the time, but they were all still very young. And there was just a piece of a rug that we had in the kitchen. And I pulled all the kids around the kitchen and I pointed to it and I said, tell me what this is. You know, and some said it's a rug and some says it's a carpet. And I said, well, that's what we call it. But is that what it is? Mm-hmm. And so where we basically ended up getting to is, okay, there's some glue here. There's some thread here. There's some other things here. There's some plastic melted on. And the thing that I was trying to show them is that, like you said, labels are useful because they're shortcuts. That they help us recognize something in a way that other people may recognize it as well. But those labels do nothing to tell us the picture.
Why you just went into your Obama voice?
Did I? Yeah, did I go into my? Dang it! Now I can't even do it. No, I can't even do it. If you wouldn't have said it, I could have kept doing it, and then we could have. Oh man. Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Oh yeah.
He's gonna be a comedian.
In your eyes, right?
You're gonna do a stand-up.
But it was definitely this idea of like our labels of other things don't really give us insight. It just makes it easier for us to call something. You know, even when I was a believer, me telling you that I was a Christian didn't tell you anything else about me. You didn't know what I believed about Christ. You didn't know if I believed that Christ was all human or all divine. You didn't know if I believed Christ was 50-50. You don't know if I believed Christ. Well, you didn't know if I believed in a deist version of Christ or a theist version of Christ, but you heard the label and you didn't have to, you know, move any further than that. This used to aggravate me for years when people used to introduce me as a pastor. Because then when people heard that label that, oh, you're a pastor, all of a sudden, whatever they believed about pastors are the boxes that they tried to put my life in. And I'm like, whoa, I practice what I preach. I don't practice what everybody else preach. So you can't really hold me accountable to what your pastor do. I don't even know him. I don't know him, you know. Oh man. No Trinity, no Christian on my, and I was finding, I'm sure the Unitarians agree. Right? You know? And that's a fierce battle amongst the saints. It's scary. And the funny thing for me, and I'm glad you brought that up, Mr. Difficult. The funny thing for me, when I was a believer, that wasn't even something I cared about like that. That's it. Like, if you're a good man, yes. Hooey, this is good.
Yeah. So that leads us to
security. Yeah. Security is definitely another motivator for working together. Whether it's for financial security, physical security, social security, policies, you know, obviously legislation in countries are developed to create security. Now, you know, I think the truth of that is there, but like you said, it's to create for whom that becomes where the debate comes in. And let's see here. Oh yeah. Okay. So, because then you get things like community social safety nets, like unemployment benefits or social security. For a brief period of my life, 6 months, I worked. Okay. Dang. So I pastored like a Baptist church for almost 3 to 6 months. But for another brief 6 months of my life, I worked for the Southern Baptist Convention. Yeah. I worked for the Southern Baptist Convention for like 6 months. It was a horrible experience. Horrible. But the work was actually very interesting. I was an executive director for their right. Yeah. And it was okay. Just to kind of give the backdrop here. I became an atheist in 2014. 2014, one of my mentors in the faith reached out to me because he knew that I was leaving the faith and said, "Man, I really think I don't want you to leave the faith. I don't want you to lose purpose. I know you're struggling, but why don't you just come work at my church for a while you're trying to figure out what you want to do?" So I went and worked for my mentor for a little bit, and that experience was horrible because ultimately he ended up trying to use the experience to punish me the entire time, which I've shared a little bit about in one of my other videos. And so then after that, I had another pastoral friend who was kind of disappointed at how that had worked out and found out that I had resigned. And at the same time, it was a very opportunistic moment for him to get me to his city. And then he said, "Hey, the Southern Baptist Association, they helped my church get started and all that stuff. They have an opening, and I'll be glad to make a recommendation for you." And he did make the recommendation, and I was unanimously voted in as the first Black executive director of this particular SBC association, which would have been a county association. And it was nice. Everything seemed loving at first, and I actually really enjoyed the work I did. Wow. Yep. Yes. Very much so. Very much so. But I actually enjoyed the work that I did for this association. We ran a thrift store.
It was community work.
It was community work for sure, and that's why we ran two thrift stores, one of which was launched under me. I was able to launch that thrift store, and it was donated to us because of my work. So because of the work that I was doing, we got this donated building that we could start our second thrift store in. We had 2 community centers, which is where people could come and get food. They can get help with their light bills. They can get clothes. And then the one that we had on the north side, they had a space to take a shower. The only thing that, well, I have a lot of things, but anyway, so we had the community service, our community centers. We had a network of resources for all of the churches that were connected to that association. And all of this was funded by the participating churches. And the churches could autonomously decide whether they were going to give 1% or 5% to the association. And just that small bit of them working together allowed them to make such profound impact in that county. You know what I'm saying? Now, obviously, they had other reasons of wanting to make this impact, which isn't always healthy, but the work that they did, you could not undermine. We ran it's not an orphanage. We ran foster homes, all of those type of things flowed out of that just because those people working together. Okay, now that's just the financial aspect. They pulled the financial aspect together. They chose different people on the from the associations to be on the board to approve things, and then to hire people to see to the things that were important to them. And the things that were important to them were making a difference in the community. This is one of the reasons why I am a huge advocate of secular communities. I am a huge advocate. Wow. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. But I think I don't know if you've met any kids who were unbelievers that have had to go through the foster system. It is very difficult for them, So I know people, when they think of secular community, they're like, "Oh, I don't want to do anything that looks like church." And I'm like, well, you don't have to do something that looks like church. But if that's literally going to be the reason you don't work with other people to build solutions for your community, that goes back to the question, what are reasons that people don't work together? So we said empathy, we said apathy, we said lethargy, we said a lack of accountability. But now we're also seeing one reason is, well, I just don't want it to look like church. That's one of the biggest reasons. One of the biggest reasons people don't work together to do secular communities, because they don't want to look like a club. They don't want to look like a church.
And that's where we get stuck at. I don't wanna, and then it comes back to, well, what do you
like? Well, what do you want? And you know, but they were able to do a lot, and I was very impressed by that. I also learned a lot that was very interesting. I learned a lot about the nature of missionaries in other countries and a lot of their collaboration with government officials, and so I thought that was interesting, particularly U.S. government officials. Yeah, it's literally just the false God belief that poisons things. Because concerts look like churches. Some of my favorite conferences have looked like churches. You know, hell, court looks like church some damn times. But it's the other poison that's the problem. But I think secular communities need to be outperforming in those areas. Secular communities need to be created. It should not just be the Catholics and the Baptists who are taking care of all of our fostered and orphan children. And right now, that's what it is. And I don't know if y'all ever heard of Boys Town, horrible name for it. I know, lots of jokes, but Boys Town is ran by the Catholic organization. Please look up that organization and see what they do for their children. And that strategy is something we've adopted into Help and Hope as well. Don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Absolutely not. There is power in community, and we need more secular communities. We need communities where the goal is people-centric, where there is empathy, yes, where there is mindfulness, where there is consideration, where there is compassion, and where if you do have your own personal belief, that's what it is. It is a personal belief. It is a belief that I personally have that I am not going to use on other people. And if I find another person that just so happens to share that belief, then hey, good me, you know? And that's where the power comes in. But yeah, and y'all know I'll say this every chance I get, because I'm a firm believer in this, that secular community needs to be doing more community. Because there's resource sharing in community, and then we can make things happen. When the hurricanes hit Alabama, it was my association that was able to get out there and rally volunteers from all of those churches to get out there and help rebuild and do things. Yeah, they're exactly. They're just good people. They're just good people. And I love good people. All right. I love it. Okay, so that was security.
Security, yeah.
Sufficiency is another one. Is another reason why, another motivation for people to work together. And so notice that jump. Like, so we started survival, scarcity. People start working together based off of scarcity. And then, you know, you start taking care of your scarcity. And then you're like, oh yeah, but we're still getting attacked by these hyenas and shit. And so we need to be safe, or we're getting attacked by other things. So we need to be safe. And so people work, that becomes a motivation to keep people working together. But then also, you know, we want to be secure. We can be safe, but we got stuff leaking, and you know, and I don't know if we're going to be good next week. So we work together, and that security is pretty much how you get the agricultural aspect, you know, coming in, because now we can kind of secure for ourselves food year round, you know. But you know, one person trying to make that happen for, you know, it gets a little difficult.
Yeah.
And then now, from security, we're at sufficiency. So it's like, you know, you go from scarcity to safety to security to sufficiency. And this is when you get to that point where you're working together for the sake of economic stability. Like, you're working together to say, hey, these solutions that we can make happen every now and then, what if we can make some of these solutions just be a natural part of our experience, which is sadly, and I say sadly for a reason, is sadly how most of us live today unaware. Like, so like I have a lot of friends who believe that, you know, the world, like, man, we should all just be chilling out and just kind of living our lives and just shooting the breeze and walking through the trees and stuff like that. And I'm okay with that. Like, but what I often found is that none of them are actually doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing stopping you from walking out of your apartment and just walking into the trees.
Yeah.
and just deciding to live out there. But, and this is why I highlight disingenuousness is, they want to do it, but they still want to keep the iPhone.
Yeah.
You know, they want to do it,
tools,
and they still want to keep the internet. Mm-hmm. They want to do it, and they still want to buy the shoes.
Comfort.
And so, and so, if I break that all the way down, what does that mean? That means I want a life where I don't have to do any work, but I still get the benefit off of the work of everybody else. It's not a popular conversation in my community. But I have a lot of friends that are hard workers in things that don't work for them because their whole motivation is to not to have to work. And I'm like, I just haven't seen life without work. Like, everything works. That's what energy is. Energy is just work. Work is just applied energy, you know? And there are beautiful ways. And like I just be like, I don't see how, and I guess this is the reason that kind of mindset offends me at times, is because my community is absolutely fucking broken. Yeah. And so when you have a community that's this fucking broken and you run into so many people who are just like, oh, I just want to do, you know, whatever, it's scary to me. It's scary to me.
We don't want to be responsible for the upkeep, and that even globally. Like,
yes.
If no one's working, we can all be not having to worry about food, not having to work for anybody, just having fun. But there has to be some type of global upkeep.
Yeah. Somebody got to be doing something. Yeah. I mean, until we get to the place, and then even thinking about getting to the place, because I wrestle with this. I'm not an AI doomsday type of guy, but I do wrestle with this. If we ever get to the place where we don't have to work anymore and that our work is no longer valuable, that means something else is doing all the work at that moment. And I'm not necessarily against that world. I'm not, but I do have some concerns, because at that moment it's just like, oh,
you're relinquishing control.
Yeah.
In that sense, if you're not responsible for something, you're letting go that control.
Yeah. And I think for some people, and this is something that I do challenge a lot of the people in my community and our conversations with, is I think sometimes we have to redefine work for a lot of people, you know, because there's this idea of manual labor or tedious labor or menial labor and all of these other things. And I'm like, work evolves. We've seen this. Work has evolved over the entire human existence. And so you don't have to look out into the world and say, oh, I have to do what these other people did. You can find a way to, yes, I love to be productive. I love to be productive. Oh, we're not training people for non-AI perspective jobs. And we're not. I definitely tried to offer some. We both tried to offer some things in our community. Some people are receptive. We're not going to put everybody out there, but by far and large, it's just but we're not going to give up. I don't say these things because it's like, oh, fuck them. It's not that at all. I say these things to alert us all to the importance of treating people like humans. And to me, one of the things of treating people like humans is really helping them regain their sense of agency. Mm-hmm. It doesn't. It has not helped my community telling them that somebody else was going to solve their problem, whether that somebody else was Jesus, or that somebody else was the Democratic Party, or that somebody else was the Republican Party, or that somebody else was their great, congressman or whatever. Within a society, laws should help civilizations, not oppress them. Absolutely. And we definitely have an issue with that in this society. I am a cannabis advocate, and this is one of the reasons that I am like pissing mad at the Black church, because you represent Black people in this country, and our people are more marginalized by cannabis laws than any other people group. And the Black church, literally, please understand, I'm a strategy. Can you say the word? I'm a strategy guy. We're gonna do it that way. I'm a strategy guy at the end of the devil's lettuce. At the end of the day, and the Black church absolutely has the power to make a significant difference in that particular situation, especially in states like Alabama, Georgia, Texas, and Florida, which are the states that are taking the most advantage of these type of situations. But every single one of these states have also put in a religious freedom law on their books about 20 years ago to keep them from having to do gay marriages. That actually gives churches in those places a great legal foothold in certifying certain things as religious and then being protected. And so far, there are several churches in Alabama, Georgia, Florida, and Texas that have taken advantage of these things and stood their ground. Not one of them are a black church because, and these are my personal opinions, the black church talks a big game, but is filled with cowards. That's my little take right there. A legal right to be a bigot. That's what they did. That's what they did. And then about 5 years ago, well, actually it's longer than that, about 12 years ago, some cannabis advocates started looking at those laws and saying, what can we do with that? And they did. But for whatever reason, black churches, as cowardice as they are, there's only one black pastor that I've known that have spoke on it. But yeah, what do you do? Really? And that's all it is. That's all it is.
And that's one of the problems with, from my experience, from our people too. The people, the few people that will speak out in the church, they fight against for the majority, so they can't even do things to help them.
Absolutely. Yeah, we definitely need some of that accountability. Man, we done got rabbit trailed. This is good. Oh Lord, that's terrible. Well, we down here with K Ivy. It is no better. Yeah. It's like, oh Lord,
DEI programs and everything.
Man,
that's that religious hope. That also gives them the leeway to do that.
Absolutely.
And so we were on sufficiency.
And then the last one, as we close out, the last thing that brings people to work together, and this is a big one, is sovereignty. To get a sense of control back over your own life, back over your own community, back over where you live, to get a sense of independence and to find freedom to explore and to discover the world around you. This is something that motivates people to work together, which after kind of going through all of these, I don't see that we have any lack of motivations to be working together. When you look at this, I mean, I would like to survive.
Yeah.
So I want to work with people. I would like to be safe. So I want to work with people. I would like to be secure. So I want to work with people. I would like to be sufficient. So I want to work with people. And I would like to have some sovereignty. So I want to work with people. Wow. Oh my goodness, that's scary. That's scary. Oh, that's scary. Yeah, that's just, I have so many thoughts, because y'all know there's a little black nationalism in me. So I have so many thoughts, but I always do give this caveat that I do believe globalism is more sustainable than nationalism. I just don't know how long it's going to take to get us there. But I am, if I have to choose between the two, I would choose globalism over black nationalism or any form of nationalism, for that matter. I am still a proponent of black nationalism for actually some of these needs right here. That's my understanding that black people really need to work together to survive, be safe, be secure, be sufficient, and ultimately regain their sovereignty, their sense of sovereignty in this world, and get back to participating and collaborating with the rest of the world. Right now, we have two of the most populous continents on this planet are ultimately overlooked or uninvolved outside of using them for their resources, and that's South America and Africa. That, as long as I'm a human being on this planet, that will always concern me. That will always be an issue. Ooh, that is awesome. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Oh man, the upcoming election. I I guess because I live in Alabama, I am a little scared. Yep.
Insurrection and all kinds.
Oh yeah. And I don't want to say scared, like, because hey, I'm a do what I do. But at the end of the day, it's better to work together.
Yeah.
You know. And
Absolutely.
I didn't want to segue there from Trump. I wasn't talking about working with that. Now let me stop. But no, it's better that we work together. And as long as we're doing these Sunday sessions, that's really going to be the message that we're trying to really put out there, is that we've got to work. Yes, actively sabotaging the global South. It is insane. It is insane. And it often happens because of our lack of empathy or our lack of apathy, and our lack of gaining a sense of control back into what our own governments are doing. We've become so isolated from almost everything. And again, I think secular community, and really, I don't even have to say secular. I think community can be the solution for that. And you know, there's a lot of greed. We all have a lot of we have a lot more capacity than we think we have, and we don't have to just stand idly by. We can all take an active part in making this world a better and more progressive place, starting in where we are. And really did. I think he did that for a lot of people. I'm hoping a lot more. Oh, what's up? We are actually just wrapping up now, but we've just been talking about people, the necessity of people working together, and how empathy plays a role in working together. Oh, it's a lot. It's a lot. And of course, Haiti's in trouble right now too. So you know, it's we and again, I guess that's why even as a person who is a Black nationalist, I identify more as a globalist, because like we got to get to this place where we're globally cooperating, and I don't know how to get there. Like, so I'm not the solution guy for that. Now I do have some thoughts. Don't get me wrong, and I put a lot of thought into it. But just for things that sensitive, that large, I try not to say too much unless I'm in a room where we can actually make some things happen. Right, man. It's been it's rough. It's rough. Which reminds me, I don't know if y'all remember when Haiti had the was it the earthquake back in a long time ago? But there are a whole bunch of gospel artists got together and did a song to raise money. And it was a beautiful song, except for when you explored the lyrics. Beautiful song. Beautiful song. It was just like, 2006. That was it. Wow. Where was I?
I was in college too.
I was supposed to be in college, but I wasn't. I was preaching the gospel then. But it was like, is there anybody out there listening? Is there anybody out there? Can anybody hear my pain? And the answer is no, my child, we were not there, but we're here and we care. And yes, we feel your pain.
Hope where you get to say you did something without
really doing anything. Yep. And so I do believe we need to become. Was it 2010?
I was out of college then.
Okay. Well. When I was in college then. I just got into college. I went late. I went to college late. Practical life had to happen to me to go to college. And just kind of give you that story. When I was first coming out of high school, I was a straight A student, but I was uninterested in college because of the environment that I was in. Everybody in my family and everybody around me who talked about college talked about it as a place to party, and as a place to play, to watch football, and as a place to watch the college bands. None of those things was I interested in. Number one, because I was very, very saved at the time.
That's not biased.
It's very difficult. And I felt that, you know, I was on the right track with Jesus. Jesus was going to lead my life. I was a preacher. I was fairly popular, and so God is going to take care of me. It was when my first child was born, and I was working for Verizon Wireless, and ended up having an opportunity to come on full time at Verizon Wireless, and ended up not being able to because somebody else ended up getting the position. Which there's a bigger story there. Yeah. It wasn't a bad thing. Like it wasn't somebody something did to me. It was something I did, just trying to be a good person, and ended up. It's like, I gave up the role. He was like, that job was gonna be yours. And he was like, and this other job that we can't give you because you don't have a college degree. And then I was like, what? And so then I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna let this be a problem anymore. The people have to hold their own leaders accountable as well as others. Absolutely. I mean, that's really where it starts. Everybody has to be held accountable. Point blank, period. And man, like it's a real thing. And we're often afraid to hold people accountable. They have, and they've caught up in the space race and everything. Like that is interesting.
Coming together to do the work.
Coming together to do the work. Wow. Well, I think we went a little bit over time today.
Yes.
It really is. It is. I've been fascinated. There are a lot of stories about India, just even going back to when they first started doing the medical boom. And this is something that I do like to I share with people. I don't know if I'll share it on YouTube because it is kind of a sensitive story for India. But India had a lot of intermarriage type of things going on for a while. And there were a lot of sicknesses that were correlated to those type of practices. They became doctors to fix those sicknesses. And I just thought that was such an amazing story.
Fix your own problem.
Yep. But said somebody, I'm sitting there thinking, what if Trump did the things he's known to do with it? Like, that's insane, man. It's insane. Like, I don't understand the connection that people have there. They have. Nowhere near. I'm not a fan of American politics, period. I'm not necessarily apolitical, but most people in politics would consider me apolitical, though. They would definitely do that. If you the whole Arab leaders accountable for not, that is, oh man. Well, see, that's what I think that becomes the easiest thing to do. The easiest thing to do, I think we've all been doing it since we were children, is to point somebody else. Yeah. It's like, nope, it's them. And we never like do this thing.
Yeah.
You know, like this. And this was like a part of me becoming an atheist. And I don't share this a lot because some people feel like stuff like this is maybe too hard or something. Absolutely, yeah. But a part of this thing was me realizing that the biggest problem in my life was me.
Yeah.
That was it. And once I realized that was so freeing. It was the most liberating thing in the world because then I was just like, oh, I don't have to be the problem in my life. I can fix that. If literally it's just me, I can fix that. And so I'm really excited. The political on the world scale. Yeah, for sure. To keep it, yes, for sure. But
that was great.
It was. Yeah. It was.
And so if you enjoyed this week, come back next week. Because we're going to flow into when people value people. And I'm excited about that conversation.
Yes.
Well, if you haven't already, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can know every time that my husband and or I go live. Leave a comment. So when you're done with the live, come back and leave a comment to keep it going and flowing. Join our community. Keep an eye on the community page because there are a lot of updates that come through there as well throughout the week. And some things to get excited about. So make sure you're keeping an eye on that. We also are looking for volunteers. Any and everything you can do, let us know if you like to team up, whether it's a few hours of your week or more. We would love to have you as a partner with us. And also don't forget to check out the merch. We have some Keep Rising items there. We have some good other items, right, babe?
Yeah, we got all types of good stuff. The Sacred Cow Grill Master is my favorite. I have to order me a copy. I know some of you are like, why haven't y'all ordered one of y'all shirts yet? Oh, this is real easy because we have 4 kids, and like we'll get there. We don't claim to be rich by a long shot. Y'all will likely be able to buy a shirt before we'll be able to buy a shirt. Which I guess brings us to that second part. If you're interested in financially supporting the work here at BridgeCity Global, now let me stop. But for no, seriously, if you are interested in supporting the work that we do, it's super easy. You can do it through super chats, super thanks. You can purchase merch, as we just mentioned. And we also have links in the description below that can be helpful. Obviously, your financial support will be greatly appreciated and will be primarily used to improve the quality and quantity of the channel content. And then as we continue to grow, to actually be able to spread and stoke the fires of community all across this globe. Oh, I can't tell if that sounded like Disney-like or villainous-like. And develop projects and programs that support people-centric solutions, our versions of a mission. And of course, I do remind people, and I actually kind of want to make this a standard, a staple of all kind of Bridge City and Bridge invites where this type of thing is done. I do want to make it clear that nobody has to, like, if you're financially unable to give, please don't feel obligated to give. We don't do any compulsory thing. We make it out here. If you're in a good place, you can. If you're in a place that you're able to give and you value the work and you want to, please do so. If you're not in a place and you're in a place and you're not able to give, please don't feel bad. Please don't feel ostracized or anything like that. We are grateful for having you here and having you a part of the conversation. And again, as I stressed earlier in this conversation, money is not the end all be all. I believe 500 people beats $500 any day of the week, right? And so people is where the value is. Almost everybody who wants money to get people.
Yeah.
And so you can just skip the money and value the people, right?
Absolutely. And with that being said, we definitely want to invite you to join us in whatever way that makes sense for you, whether it's continuing to help us build with this online community, which we call BridgeCity Global. You'll hear us say a common phrase, be the bridge. Be the bridge. We're a better way to connect, if you will. All right. If you're looking to build something in your local community and want to be an extension of this community where you are, of course, that is open as well. And we'll drop some links in the chat as we continue here. And you can also connect with this community just by continuing to learn, attend these sessions, or any participating in group discussions, conversations, growing and exploring, engaging in diverse ideas and perspectives, as you all have been so graciously doing already. And continue support by, like we said, volunteering, giving. It really helps according to your reasonable capacity.
Yep. And that's it. Your reasonable capacity. We also have the How May We Help forms. And so anything that you think we can be doing better, anything you'd like to see from this particular community, anything you'd like to see in the Discord, you can use the How May We Help form to add that. I'm in Discord right now, so I'm laughing at Matt because Matt was like the first one here this morning. Like he was here so early, he was here yesterday in the chat. Yeah. So when we logged in this morning, we see all of Matt's comments, which I thought was beautiful. But he actually ended up oversleeping, and so he's in Discord like, man, I was late. And I'm like, well, technically you were early. You beat everybody, But no, absolutely. There's some beautiful things going on out here. And I am, very much a visionary idea type of guy, but I don't believe I have all the ideas. I think the reason I have so many ideas is because I honor other people, and I like to learn from other people, and I listen to other people, even when it's critiquing. So the first videos that I had on my channel, all of them had background music. All of them had background music. People hated the background music. Yeah. They kept watching the videos, but they were like, bruh, you had to take the music out, man. I can't even hear you. And I was just like, ooh, okay. Sometimes you look at stuff like that, you get mad, and it's like, I don't get mad. I'm like, let me think about that, And I took out the background music. Maybe that's why we got the 2,000 subscribers. I don't know. But yeah, so if there's anything you see that we're doing that you say, oh man, I think it would be great if we were doing this as well. You don't even remember the music? Oh man, I love that. See, like, and that's the thing. Like, that's is a charlatan for sure, and that's it. And like, oh my goodness. Ooh, did you see my book recommendation? I'm gonna have to look at that. All right, so let me see. Did I say anything else? Am I missing anything?
If you want to build the bridge, where you live. I'm gonna drop that link.
Oh, thank you, babe.
In the chat for you. And also, if you're interested in getting actively involved with us or our online progressive thinking, people-centric, life-affirming community, let us know. And I'm going to drop that form in the chat. I know some of you have already been filling these out. Again, please check your spam folder because we've been sending emails and we need you to read them, okay?
Read the emails.
Lieutenant Dan. Okay.
All right. Well, I think that does bring us to our close. I think we've done everything. Now, of course, we're going to be hanging out in Discord for a little bit. After this, our oldest has a virtual college tour thing today, so we'll probably jump off a little early so we can get ready for that, which not much we'd have to do. I don't think. Then again, I don't know either. But let me see here. But yeah, so we'll meet y'all over in the Discord. I think we did post it in the chat. The link is in the chat. The link is also in the description of the video. So if you want to come hang out with us over there, come hang out with us. I'm going to do my best not to monopolize the conversation. I might jump in a little bit late just to make sure y'all talk to each other. But no, we love y'all so much. Thank y'all for hanging out with us. And until next time, keep rising. And until next time, be the bridge. I'll let y'all later.